Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video and a bit of a different video here today, and one that I wanted to make because I've not really seen too much talk about this, and I thought it was quite an interesting video to make, especially because this hasn't really been published or sort of given to any sort of publicity by the actual F1 game themselves. So I thought I'd bring this video to you guys and let you guys know, in the case you're not really on Twitter, or you don't really follow any of the F1 social medias or anything related to F1. Now, these images sort of went around on Twitter the other day, and you can sort of find these. I'll leave a link down below in the description to where I got them from. And we have some great pictures and some great screenshots. Some of these were shown earlier in the week and actually tweeted by Codemasters, some of these, but most of these were not. You guys might recognize a couple of these, but I'm telling you now, the majority of these you might have not seen. But anyway, we're going to jump into it in a little bit of a dissection of some new screenshots from the F1 2018 game, and personally some that I absolutely love, and it's the small details you really appreciate and how much this game's really improved. Now, straight away we're going to delve into the first one, and that is the new look the characters have in game. Now, this was mentioned over the E3 weekend, and what Lee Mather said in interviews, how Codemasters have a new art direct, and that's definitely apparent. Especially apparently they really focus this year on making their characters look really, really genuine and real life, and you can really notice it straight away with this guy here in the Red Bull uniform. I'm guessing this guy obviously is one of the people in the career mode who tells you exactly what's going on with the R&D and how things are progressing. Whether this is Chris's replacement or an extra guy in the new data room that we have, we'll have to wait and see. This definitely looks like a new environment. It's definitely not the one that we're accustomed to on the Paddock motorhome. This is definitely in some sort of room. So this might be, I think his name might be Carl, I'm going to guess. I know there's a guy called Carl, and this might be him, and he's the guy that's in charge of the data room, and this is more specifics and other details regarding your crewman, and he sort of keeps you in the loop of what's going on. And this seems to be the new data room as well, so a lot more that meets the eye here than just a simple image, and just also appreciating the detail and how good this image looks. The crispness, the detail, the hair looks really, really realistic. I know this is a silly thing to say, but last year you could really notice the characters still look very strange. Like Jonathan, for example, was a classic car guy. He looked very strange. This year, it definitely looks a lot more polished off. The lighting, the shading on the team wear, even the details like the brows, the beard. It looks much better. The lighting, colouring, the shading, the highlights and the dark shadows really looks a lot better and a lot more polished. Now, if we move on to the second image, and this is the one I'm really excited for, we get the first glimpse of the whole interview situation and how this new sort of make headlines branding of the F1 2018 game has come about, and you can see here the new scenarios of you getting asked questions, and from top to bottom, this image is absolutely fantastic. All the way from the detailing in the background with all the Sauber race trucks in the Sauber Alfa Romeo uniform to even just the pass that the camera guy's holding on his neck is absolutely brilliant. So really good detailing. All the faces, the guy on the right hand side, especially his forehead, the wrinkles, everything looks really, really good. The lighting is spot on. And overall, there's a real nice sort of vibrance and nice colour palette without it being too colourful or saturated or too bland. Getting that nice balance, and it looks really, really nicely done. And as you can see also, the small little details, but the actual what the two people here are wearing, it seems to be some sort of media company. No real named company. It's just like a generic company that does interviews. So it could be like any sort of press. And who knows, we might get more types of this. There might be more than just one model in terms of interviewing and press stuff. So this might be just one of the sort of PR media companies that interview you. But overall, detailing looks fantastic, even to the point on the earphones where the rubber sort of muffs on the earphone that goes around your ear. The way that's sort of cut up looks really, really good. So overall, really impressed from Codemasters, doing a really nice job in how realistic the real life character or the in-game characters look to real life in this year's game. But we're now going to move on to more gameplay related screenshots, and we're going to get to some panoramic views first. So straight away, as you can see, we have the brand new Hockenheim Circuit. First glimpse we've caught this, pretty much looking very similar to what it used to be back in the previous F1 games and what we know it as. But also in the back, you can just about make out, if you watch the video on full screen, you can see that's the first glimpses we've seen really of the Red Bull car, which we haven't really seen much of. We saw the Toro Rosso in the videos that we saw for the Paul Ricard circuit, and we get another shot there of the Sauber. Straight away, visually looks very nice. The way as you look down to the background, down to the end, it sort of fades away a bit. Very realistic sort of mist effect. Really, really like it. The clouds look brilliant, the best they've ever looked. The sky, the way it all looks, it comes together, looks fantastic. And the tarmac runoffs, all nice and consistent, lighting on point in my opinion, shadows spot on, and this definitely, based off of the gameplay we saw, is like one of the best games we've ever seen in Formula 1. You know, visually I think this was going to be the best one ever. The next screenshot, as you can see this time, is the recent Red Bull Ring which we just had the race on yesterday, and straight away again pointing at the small details, you know, right down the end, all the mist sort of, you lose the HD crispness of the edge of the map, you know, with all the sort of trees and all the hills in the background, and it sort of fades away in the mist and the clouds. You can see there's sunshine / possible rain conditions. There were some dark clouds, looking really, really nice and crisp, and all the detailing on the off-track surroundings with all the trees around the brilliant Austria circuit looking absolutely fantastic there. Then the next screenshot we have Paul Ricard. We saw plenty of these recently with a few screenshots that dropped, but again, appreciating how good this track looks, you know, the color palette, the vibrance, like I mentioned before, of how good the saturation is, and also take this as an incline, but maybe straight away we get a bit of an idea of how the cars are. I can tell you pretty much the cars from these screenshots, they're all pre-season / Australia spec, and therefore the pace of these, I'm going to guess, is going to be, you know, corresponding to that. So in this case, you can see the Saubers are battling the Williams, which they were back in Australia, whereas now they quite clearly aren't. Sauber are much faster than Williams now, but back in Australia it was much closer between those two teams, and that's exactly what it looks like they've based the performance off here. But another screenshot this time of the Sauber. Again, there's quite a few in the Sauber in this video. I personally love I think the car is fantastic. It could do with some more red, but I still love how good the car looks, and some real love for Charles Leclerc in these screenshots. But as you can see, another one there, another fantastic little bit of detail here around Paul Ricard. Not much more to comment, but the next one's the one that really catches my eye. This is one of them screenshots where, if you're just sort of looking at something, you know, if it didn't have the watermark in the bottom left, if you're just looking for pictures on Google or something, you know, just sort of browsing the internet, if you're not keeping a keen eye, this is the sort of picture that, in my opinion, looks so realistic. You can actually get confused for a real-life picture, in my opinion. If you're sort of just glossing over it and not really focusing on the details too heavily, this looks fantastic, in my opinion. The image quality is brilliant. The way they've got the metallic-y effect on the red around the engine cover looks really, really good. All the shadows right to the bottom of the car looks brilliant. And a small detail about the car, definitely look a little bit better this year in terms of the rake and how the way the front wings are a bit lower this year, so that's a positive touch on Codemaster's behalf. But some very nice pictures here, and once again, nice bit of vibrance and color saturation on these. Now we move on to another picture, and I want to say this is into Russia turn 2, so everyone's sort of filing up onto the left-hand side of the track, getting ready for that sort of turn 2 / inverted commas turn 1 heavy brake zone at Russia. Again, another screenshot, this time Marcus Ericsson. This time, as you can see, next to Carlos Sainz in the Renault, and I believe this is at Russia. So, yeah, really, again, nice detailing, the way the shadowing looks. This image, in my opinion, looks fine. Nothing really major to point out here, but yet again, another image to bring to you guys. But then we have gone to the next one, and this one's pretty sweet in my opinion. We have the Williams at, I believe that's the Circuit of the Americas, going around the double apex sort of hairpin before you go into the triple right-hander, which is the inverted Turkey turn 8. The Williams looking brilliant. Obviously, as per usual, no red stripe because alcohol branding is not allowed on the F1 game, as it is a PEGI 3 rated game. So hopefully you guys will understand that. The same story as any other F1 game. In this case, Sergei Sorokin is the man that we're seeing here. Williams looking absolutely brilliant with the car. Not in terms of the rule, I'm just saying the way they've made it look in the game looks fantastic, with the nice sort of detailing in the orange papaya McLarens in the background, with the motion blur looking very sweet. And it's a small details that matter, but looking really, really good. There's something about the F1 game this year that I can't explain it, but in the past, the way the cars look, it looks like they're not planted onto the ground. It's like the shading is wrong. The shadows are not working. They haven't done them properly. But you can see this year is a nice sort of detailing, and the cars actually they're planted to the racetrack, which is something that's been missing in past F1 games, where the shadows and the shading has not been done properly, and you can sort of see some lightness under the tires, and it looks like it's off the ground. So they've definitely done a good job of improving that. And speaking of the papaya orange McLarens before, we have a screenshot which I think most of you guys might have seen from this week. It's the McLaren at Hungary going down turn 1, getting under pressure from I believe it was Magnussen and also Hülkenberg in the Renault there. But as you expect, the McLaren Australia spec front nose, as that did get recently changed, and that probably will be the nose even on release day. We'll probably get like a day 1 patch or something, or maybe a patch maybe a week or 2 after the game's released, and we'll get the updated car skins. But That's what you're going to expect with the McLaren, looking really, really good as usual, and more confirmation that these cars are Australia spec. You know, the chassis, if you look at the mirrors position, if you look at in full screen, they are connected to the chassis nose, whereas they're, in real life now, they're actually connected to the side pods. So more little details there just to prove that these cars are indeed Australia spec. Also, another screenshot we have here of the McLaren, and this time in the reverse angle, what would be chase cam essentially, going side by side into turn one with a couple of Force Indias. Not much to point out here, just a sort of motion blur. That's going to be an interesting one. How much motion blur will there be in the actual gameplay footage when we race cars in this year's game? Who knows? Would they have made it a bit more apparent? But we'll have to wait and see. In this image, I can actually notice, if you look at the Force India in the bottom right, there is a bit of that sort of levitated wheels effect, which I just mentioned before, which you could really notice in past F1 games. In this picture, it doesn't look that bad. I've seen it a lot worse before, but it definitely looks like they have worked on it, because it's definitely a lot more hidden now, and you can't really notice it that much, but the tyre definitely looks like it's off the ground on that right rear on the Force India. But overall, another nice screenshot there. And finally, and I've saved the best to last, in my opinion, maybe I'm biased because I'm a Ferrari fan, but Kimi Räikkönen at Paul Ricard leading the race, which is not something you say too often by what it looks like in the picture. And the Ferrari looks absolutely majestic. Looks brilliant to look at. The Ferrari is never a bad car, in my opinion. It always looks fantastic. And as you can see by the mirror positioning, this is indeed an Australia spec car, because the mirrors, as we all know, are now famously mounted to the halo. So there's the Ferrari looking in all its glory. And again, I'm going to point out some details. So if you look through the front wing into the sort of side barge boards area, and also where the side pod entries are for the air, all the shading is really nice through there. In past games, they've got this weird reflective glitch where the light shines in a weird spot when it should be shadowy and shady, and for some reason it's like got light shining off it. This looks like it's really been worked on, and it's really been improved upon, because it looks really nice and crisp and accurately sort of shadowed. Especially you can see the cuts in the barge board, which is really, really nice detail, and overall looking really, really good there. Not sure how realistic it is with the two Williams there. It's pretty high up the order, and Vettel going side by side with the Williams there on the right hand side, but overall a nice little picture and a further bit of detail from these screenshots. And overall, guys, that's going to be all the pictures that I have for you today. A lot of these were new. This last one is my personal favourite, alongside the Sauber one with Charlotte Leclerc that we saw before, which I genuinely believed was like a realistic picture. And overall, the detail this year looks really, really nice, and I cannot wait to get more inside scoops and information on the F1 game. There are some classic car from the Williams FW23, I believe it is, screenshots in the article I linked below. I'm personally not really keen on that car or on those classics, but if you guys do want to check them out, you can check them out in the link in the description down below. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. If you have, then please do drop a like on the video. Let me know if you're excited for F1 2018. We're now less than 2 months away, and I definitely cannot wait now. I'm starting to get really, really excited for the game. Also, if you're new on here, please do get subscribed for daily Formula 1 and MotoGP content. And of course, all the F1 2018 content, when that game does eventually release, I'll be the first to try and upload as much as I can to this channel. And finally, guys, do check out these two videos on screen if you have missed them by chance. But other than that, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.